Hello everybody, Daniel Clemens, the HEMA Vtuber here, and today I've got something very exciting to show you. Over the weekend, I fought in my first steel saber tournament. This was a very big deal for me because the previous tournaments I've fought in have all been leather dussac or lightsaber. With a steel sword, I really feel like I'm coming into my own as a historical fencer. So let me show off the equipment I used, and then we can look at the actual fights themselves. This is the Spec HEMA hoodie, and this was my main protection during the tournament. It's not very good for absorbing the actual impact, but it was fine for what I needed it to be. It has a handy pocket in the back so that if you are carrying something around with you, you forget to take it out of your pocket before the fight, it's still going to be fairly protected, which never actually needed, but it was good to have the option. For the saber, I used a V5 Gymnasium saber straight from Purple Heart Armory. I chose this as my weapon because it was very similar to a single stick, which is what I mainly use for practice. Now with my armor and weapon out of the way, let's get on to the actual fights themselves. This is my first match. I don't actually remember the names of most of my competitors, and I'm sorry about that. But there were so many matches. This guy was really good. He managed to hit me in the leg hard enough to actually take off my armor. And I gotta say, that was really scary. You spend so much time putting together a good piece of kit, and in one blow, I thought to myself, have I just wasted all of my time? Am I about to be eliminated because my equipment is malfunctioning? Luckily, it was not actually broken. You just hit it hard enough to undo the strap. Here, my camera person has begun filming in portrait rather than landscape. I don't know what made the switch, but they just decided to. And here is the actual start of the fight. You can see, and it is very clear by this video, that I have a bad habit of leaning forward to attack. And I think by the end of this tournament, I found a way to correct myself. But you will see later that that correction doesn't actually show up on the video. There was a double. I had a lot of those, but I only ever doubled out one time. Here we see again an example of me being too heavily forward. That is what let him get a hit across my knee, and that hit genuinely hurt. I have a bruise in the colors of the bisexual pride flag because of that hit. Now this exchange, you don't really see it on the video, but we get a very dramatic fall at the end. Right there, I cut towards his leg, and he trips up. I don't believe they actually gave me the point for that, which I thought it would have been fair to give it to me, but, judge's call, right? Pretty good rally on this one. And we had a good exchange, but he managed to put a cut on my arm at the very end of it. And you don't see much of the round this time, but I did manage to get a cut across his cheek. All in all, I thought this was a very good first round of the tournament. All right, we are back in full screen mode, so you'll actually be seeing most of the fight. And my opponent in this one is Matt from Bighorn Historical Combat, who was the club that was hosting this event. I've been fencing against him for a long time, and I was really happy to finally be doing it in a tournament. Of course, he has always been better than me, so I get my butt kicked here. But I think I put up a decent enough fight. Here you see a really good false edge cut to my wrist. Excellent move there. And very hard to defend against, really. Sizing each other up, everybody looking for an opening. I do think he got that cut across my arm. Looks like some of the judges didn't really think they saw anything. But I admitted to it. He got me, and if that had been a real fight, I'd have been out of the fight. Now that there, he actually gets me across the thumb. And we weren't counting hits to the hand because, some people were fighting with large bowl guards like I have. Some people didn't have those. So, to make it fair, no hits to the hand were counted. But that hit to the thumb really hurt. Good exchange. I guess I got him on the arm there. I didn't even see that. This whole fight ended up being a lot quicker and a lot more clear for the judges than my last round. At that point, I got another hit to the arm. They weren't going to call it, but I made the call myself. It's the right thing to do. And there we've got some actually high speed swashbuckling. Let's watch that again. Thrust, parry, parry, thrust. And I think that was the last exchange of the match. This is one of the only two people that I actually won the match against. I believe they were there for their first time, and they did very well for a first time participant. Especially against so many more experienced fighters. And if you see there, I got them with a strike to the face, just as they got me in the wrist with a false edge cut. And I'd very much like to give a kudos to this person. Nobody else was going to call them out on that cut to the face. I didn't even really feel it. Of course, you could see it in the video, but at the time, I wouldn't have known that I had hit them. But they said I hit them, and that's good sportsmanship. Another exchange, and I come in with a cut to the head again. Now this one, really good hit to the face. Probably my best hit of the whole tournament, really. We get a good rally going. There was a hit, but it wasn't really a good hit from either of us. And that's what they were discussing. So we reset and we did the fight again. You can see one person called it for me, and rewinding, I do manage to, you know, hit their mask. I'm not sure if I deserved that point. I believe that this is our last exchange. Second to last. I know that they got the final hit against me. Just a good old fashioned thrust to the face. Snipe the arm right when I am fully extended. It was a good job. All right, at this point in the tournament, I was getting pretty fatigued because each of my matches was almost one after another. I tried to go in my hanging guard. It didn't really work out. In this match, me and my opponent actually do double out, which reduced my score by a whole lot. Here we go. I believe this person is more practiced in Messer rather than a strictly saber style. Of course, most one handed swords work more or less the same. Good rally, but again, another double. And this round gets very swashbucklery. Very much a clear exchange of blows. And they called it for neither of us. I guess our blows did not have enough quality to them. Here's our next match. I believe this is where we actually double out. Yep. 3 doubles, and the match is over, and you score much less points for the entire tournament. They discourage doubles in this tournament by giving you negative points for your overall score. So realistically, I scored 22nd out of 30 people. And if I had let this person win rather than double out, I probably could have gotten about 20th. And that's another double, and I believe this is when they called it. So this next match was my first time in the blue corner rather than in the white corner. It was around this time that I started actually managing to correct my bad habit of leaning forward. Or at least that's how I felt during the match. We'll see how it actually played out. I don't recall what the actual judgment was on that hit. But I think if you look at it, I think he got me. Can't really see the blade work very well, but this guy has some very impressive lunges, I gotta say. Very impressive indeed. With this exchange, I actually managed to get a very good hit in as he is retreating from his own attack. Here we go with a very aggressive exchange. Unfortunately, you can't see it too well from this angle. I don't think they counted that as a double, but it really looks like it in this video. So this exchange, it really goes to show how much better my opponent's footwork was than my own. So I really wish I had gotten a better video of this fight in particular, because this fight, I am up against the person that won the entire saber tournament. He absolutely demolishes me, and I would have liked to be able to demonstrate that great skill that he had. Unfortunately, you are watching this video from butt height. A lot of these exchanges are very brief. He had way better blade work than I was anticipating, and I just could not keep up with him. Like, look how slow I look compared to his attacks. Credit where credit is due, and this guy really earned his victory. I am glad to have been able to fight him in the first place. I might bring up that I was really beginning to feel how long this tournament was at the time, but really that's just me giving an excuse for how I performed. This guy was awesome. Now you can see this is where I'm getting tired. This is where I'm recognizing that there is no way I can beat this guy. And I am just doing my best to exchange thrusts. I am still leaning into my bad habit of leaning too far forward to get those hits. And he is just amazing at this. This is my second to last opponent. I did manage to get 1 point against him versus his 8 points against me. And you know what? I feel glad that I was able to get that much. He's just coming in so confidently, so surely. It is just genuinely impressive to watch. None of the exchanges I have against him are very long. They're all just over in one cut. So, as a personal rule, I tend to fight from the hanging guard like this whenever I know that my opponent is a better fighter than me. I think it's a very easy guard to defend from. And if you watch this, he tries to go in for a false edge cut, and I manage to deflect it. And the rest of this exchange, you can see that I am struggling, but I am not leaning into my attacks like I have always been. And that is my main accomplishment from the tournament. I'm not sticking my head out there for it to get popped off. So this is my last match of the tournament, and this guy was really good. He's got some good fundamentals, quick footwork, and yeah, I was just not able to keep up. Maybe with a bit more practice, I would have been able to anticipate what his tactics were and been able to counter them. But I was just not able to keep up. He beat me soundly. I believe this is our last exchange in total. And that is all of my recorded fights from Hornfest 2025. Thank you very much for watching. I am Daniel Clemens, the HEMA Vtuber, and if you like what you saw, remember to like and subscribe. Thank you very much.